Bershus, with the permission of friends old and new. Tonight, we continue our Pirkei Avot series, and instead of learning only one Mishnah per evening, tonight we will learn two. Mishnahs Daled and Hey in the first parak, numbers 4 and 5. Last night we finished off with Antignos Ish Socho, who acquired the Mesorah and the Torah from Shimon HaTzadik. Tonight we begin in Mishnah Daled, and it goes as follows. Yosi ben Yועזר ish Tzarda, Yosi ben Yועזר, a man of Tzarda, Yosi ben Yוחנן ish Yerushalayim, and Yosi ben Yוחנן, a man of Jerusalem. Kiblu mehem, they acquired it from them. Yosi ben Yועזר ish Tzarda oimer, Yosi ben Yועזר ish Tzarda says, Beitch לחכמים, it should be a house open wide for chachamim, for wise men. And you should toil in the dust of their feet, and you should drink thirstily their words. Right away in the beginning, Yosi ben Yועזר ish Tzarda Yosi ben Yוחנן, a new dimension in the Torah and the Mesorah has occurred. In all of the previous Mishnayos and all in the previous generations, there was one acclaimed, renowned, and singular leader of Klal Yisrael. Immediately at the beginning of this Mishnah, we see the introduction of two people quoted. Yosi ben Yועזר ish Tzarda, Yosi ben Yוחנן ish Yerushalayim. Generally, this Mishnah begins what is commonly referred to as the era of the zugos, the pairs. Generally, one was considered the Nasi of Klal Yisrael, the prince or the president of Klal Yisrael, and the other one was considered the Av Bezdin, the head of the rabbinical court. On these two great leaders in Klal Yisrael, Yosi ben Yועזר ish Tzarda and Yosi ben Yוחנן ish Yerushalayim, Chazal tell us, it's a Gemara in Sota, Mishemeis Yosi ben Yועזר, when Yosi ben Yועזר passed from the world, Yosi ben Yוחנן, and he passed to Bitlu Ashkolos, nullified were the clusters of grapes. The Gemara comments, what does it mean, Ashkolos, clusters of grapes? Ish shahakol bo, men who were imbued with everything. They were imbued with Torah, they were imbued with Gedolah, they were imbued with Chachma, and they were imbued and represented and displayed Midos Tovos consistently and constantly. Another Gemara, this one in Temura, goes as follows. Miyamos Moshe, from the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, ad shemes Yosef ben Yועזר, until the death of Yosef ben Yועזר, lo haya bahem shum dofi, there was not found within these leaders any blemish whatsoever. Their Torah was complete, there existed no machlokas in Klal Yisrael, and there was no doubt in Torah and halacha and in the Mesorah. The next words are perplexing in the Mishnah. It says, Kiblu mehem. They, Yosi ben Yועזר and Yosi ben Yוחנן, they acquired the Torah and the Mesorah from them. But what did it say in the last Mishnah? Antignos ish Socho. That's just one guy, not two. So what does it mean when it is referring to the fact that it says that these two acquired it from them? So this is generally considered a debate, or we could consider it a historical debate. Some say that they were both with Antignos, students of Shimon HaTzadik, and Shimon HaTzadik, when he passed on, he passed his torch to Antignos, and then when he passed on, he passed it over to his two co-students. Or you can say that the teachings of Antignos and Shimon HaTzadik were synonymous with each other, and therefore they acquired the Torah and Mesorah from both of them. Be that as it may. The next line is very interesting in our Mishnah. Yosi ben Yועזר ish Tzarda says the following: Beitcha beis vad לחכמים. Your home should be a home of testimony for wise men. Your home should be a house for Talmidei Chachamim, essentially. The Ben Ish Chai, commenting on these particular words, he says as follows. He says that this is really Roshei Teves, Beis Vad Lechachamim. Beis, Vav, and Lamed. Beis being the first letter of the Torah, Bereshis. Lamed being the last letter in the Torah from the word Yisrael. And interestingly enough, according to the Ben Ish Chai, the letter Vav is the middle letter in the Torah on the word Gachon in Parshas Shmini, which we just read last Shabbos. So therefore, within these three letters, Beis, Vad, Lechachomim, Beis, Vav, and Lamed, Kol HaTorah Kula is represented. And therefore, like the Gemara says, Isha HaKolbo, they were filled, they had completeness in their Torah. Now, you should open up your home for Chachamim, is basically what Yossi ben Yועזר Ish Tzareda is saying. But is that really possible? Me, a Pashta Yid, is going to invite the Gedolei Yisrael to my home to come to wherever town and province that I'm living in, whatever village and shtot and wherever my shtetl is going to be able to, and me Pashta Yid, Tuvia from Anatevka is going to be able to invite the Gadol Yisrael to my house. It's not always possible. It's not always possible. Not everyone. Not every Jew can make his home a Makam Torah. To this, Rav Moshe Almashanenu, one of the greatest commentaries on Pirkei Avot, said, who was from Salonika, Greece in the 16th century, he comments the following. Beis Vad Lechachomim, a house of testimony. Beischa, your house, should be the house of testimony for Chachamim. It's not, if you can't make it your home itself, then go to the house where Chachamim are. What is the house of Chachamim? A Beis HaKnesses, a shul. Beis, the house of worship, the house of gathering. And what is the other house of the Chachamim? The Beis HaMedrash, the house of learning. If you can't make it your own house, go to shul, go to the Beis HaMedrash, Rabbi Moshe Almashanenu says. The Mishnah continues. Yosi ben Yועזר from Tzareda continues. The heavy misabek ba'afar agleim. And you shall toil in the dust of their feet, and you will drink thirstily from their words. When I think of those words, I think of another Mishnah in the 6th parak of Pirkei Avot. And it goes as such. Kachi darka shel Torah. Such is the path of Torah. Pas b'melach tochal. You shall eat salt and bread. Mayim b'nesoda tishteh, and water with brine you will drink, ve'al ha'oretz tishan, and you will sleep on the ground. If you want to know what the path of Torah is, you've got to struggle. You've got to sit in the dust of the feet of Chachamim. You've got to drink in their words. The Panovich Rav, he said, that's not the way you should read that Mishnah. Kachi darka, this is the path. Rather, you should read it with a question. Kachi darka shel, this is the pathway of Torah, that I'm destined to drink water and brine and vinegar and eat salt and bread and sit at the dust of Chacham. It's not the only path. There are many paths. But when I think about drinking thirstily at the words of these masters, there's a pasuk in Yeshayahu that I recall, and it goes as such: Havi kol tzomei lechu lamayim. Anybody who is thirsty, let them go and drink. And Rashi on the spot, what does he say mayim means? Lechu lamayim zuhi Torah. This is Torah. Probably Rashi was echoing the words of the Gemara in Tainus when it says, V'ein mayim ela Torah. There is no water but Torah. You see, mankind and our prophets And our great rabbis throughout time have compared bread and water not just to our physical sustenance, but to our spiritual sustenance. Kilo al halalachem levado yichya ha'odem. Because on bread alone man cannot survive. Rather, he needs his spiritual sustenance and succor as well. Comes along in the next Mishnah. In the next Mishnah, Yosi ben Yochanan ish Yirushalayim, Yosi ben Yochanan, a man of Jerusalem. What did he say? He said, Yibeischa pasuach l'revacha. It should be open wide. V'yu aniyim b'nei beisecha. And poor men should be common in your house. To this, I'd like to quote again my father, Harav Yaakov Simcha Cohen Zatzal. I call it one good vort. He says as follows. Let's look at who is saying these pithy statements. Yosi ben Yועזר ish Tzreda. Yosi ben Yועזר is a man of Tzreda, and Yosi ben Yochanan is a man of Jerusalem. And what does each one say? The man from Tzreda says, make your house, wherever it is, the house of Chachamim. And the man from Yerushalayim, Yosi ben Yochanan, he says, in Yerushalayim, your house should be open for poor men. He says, look again. What does the man from the small town say? Yosi ben Yועזר ish Tzreda. Who ever heard of Tzreda? It's a small provincial town, just like Antignos ish Socho. Socho, who knows? It's some small village, some small shtetl in Eretz Yisrael. What does the man from the small town say? The man from the small town says, in the small town, your home should be the home for Chachamim and Talmidim and Torah. And the man from the big town, the one in Yerushalayim, Yosi ben Yochanan ish Yerushalayim, he says, in the big city, in Yerushalayim, the center of world spirituality, he says, in this city, your home should be the home for Aniyim. What's the difference? Why each one says the following? So my father suggests as such. In a small town, there aren't a lot of Talmidei Chacham. In a small town, there aren't a lot of yeshivas. In a small town, wise men and scholars are few and far between. In a big town, in Yerushalayim, where all of the great academies of learning in the Batei Midrashos, the Sanhedrin, the Av Bezdin, the Nasi of Kal Yisrael, and all of the Chachamim reside, there's Torah aplenty. But in a small town, Torah could be few and far between. So in a small town, make sure that your home is the one that is open for Talmidei Chachamim. But if you reside in a big city, notice what Yosi ben Yochanan ish Yirushalayim says. You see, in Yerushalayim, we've got all of the Talmidei Chachamim. We've got the Nas. We have the president of Klal Yisrael. We have the Av Bezdin. We have all of the Rosh Yeshivas. We have all of the great academies of learning. But if you ever notice what is lacking in a big city, but what is found prevalent in a small town, what is prevalent in a small town, though they may be lacking in Talmidei Chachamim, they're never lacking for Hachnosas Orchim. No, never. But go to a big city, go to a big shul. You won't even be noticed if you're a newcomer coming into the shul. No one notices you if you're in a big city. So if you're from the big city, Yosi ben Yochanan says, we got all the Torah already. There's plenty for which you can access Torah anytime. But what we're lacking in a big town sometimes is because it gets lost in the weeds, is Hachnosas Orchim. So therefore the man from the small town who always has Hachnosas Orchim available, he says, make sure you have your home open for Talmidei Chacham. But the man from the big city, the leader from the big city says, we have Talmidei Chacham. So therefore, let us not overlook people who are in need. I'd like to conclude with the following also from my father. When children see actual Torah learning in their homes, it generates respect for Torah itself. When they perceive how their parents respect and honor Torah and Torah scholars, it provides a greater impact than any written lesson. My father and my grandfathers were great Torah sages, and they decorated their homes with Torah volumes. Their greatest treasure was their Torah libraries. My parents and my grandparents portrayed a lifetime role model that spiritual values and the world of ideas are more important than material goods. Rabbi say, Yihi beischa beis vad lechachamim, your home should be a home for Talmidei Chacham, and your home should be pasuach lרוחה ולעניים. Heavy kol tzameh lechul lamayim.